The Mayo Experience.
Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience, PGA Championship, odds, bets, picks, preview, one and done. We got it all coming up for you. Tim ANDERCURSED will be sharing his ANDERCURSED picks a little bit later on, and Geoff Fienberg is in studio with me. I don't want to recap the WGC really at all, but if people jumped on that 30-1 Justin Thomas number right when it came out, I tweeted it out. Great value. Didn't bet it like a moron. Fortunately, the Barracuda made up for, shout out to Golf Savages 2 on Twitter for getting me on Johnny Oda over the weekend. He was 160-1 with that T4 each way. Where'd he come? T3, Spawn cranks out a T5. It's nice going in. So I hit the Garrigus one 2 weeks ago. I hit these two. So I'm feeling good about where I'm at coming into the PGA Championship, which, historically, by far my worst betting tournament. That and the Players have been just awful. At least I've won at the Players.
I've got nothing. I can't recall any PGA Championship glory. That's a lie. Rory's beautiful win in the gray shirt, purple sleeves, my favorite PGA, maybe my favorite major Sunday in recent memory, but it wasn't anything to brag about because it was pretty short. And I love the Barracuda just in the sense that I love subfield events that are in a different time zone where it's almost like two sets of full coverage.
I agree. Yeah, it's fantastic. It's like when you wake up early to watch like the Euro and then the PGA starts. This is just PGA. Yeah. It's great.
It's just, later and what have you. So I enjoyed that. And I, like you, I woke up, all I wanted to do was bet Tiger. I did that. Yeah, I didn't even look at the board because I'm like, I just need to get off, like coming off the event in Canada. And by the time I sort of got around to looking at it, my books had Justin at like 22, 24.
Well, everyone who had that bet just pounded it immediately because it was great value.
It was, but
to quote Cam, great value.
This is my thinking though. I don't know. Congrats to everybody, but wasn't he like 28 at the Open Championship?
No, I don't think so.
I thought he was like 25, 28, and then he like played horribly. So the number was bad because the course just suits everything he does, and he had a third place last year, and he is a very elite player.
I don't think he had above the top 20 at Bridgestone before.
Why do I think he came in with a third, and that's what led him into the PGA win?
I have no idea. He just improved every day.
So maybe, that's what it was, and the person who did that there this year is Bryson.
We'll get to Bryson a little bit.
We'll get to Bryson, but Justin, I didn't, by the time I got around to really wanting to bet the tournament,
the odds were gone.
The odds were
Although they were still like 22, which were great odds as it turned out because he won.
Fantastic odds. And he is just, I don't know, he doesn't get the respect of the other top 4 or 5 players.
It's true. And we both got sucked into the whole Tiger thing. I hadn't bet Tiger yet. I wanted to bet him, and so I was just going to bet him.
Yeah, I got owned.
I'm an idiot.
I just got excited. Like, it was all happy. Yeah. That was sort of... that was an epic miscalculation. Actually, really disappointed in his weekend. Not to think he should have won or anything, but that wasn't cool.
All right, so I got some giveaways, and I got some more potential giveaways, and I got some shout-outs to do here before we get to Cust and we get into the field and get into all of our picks. So I want to give a shout-out to... if people don't know about FantasyNational.com by now, you really should. FantasyNational.com is probably the best golf stats and tools website on the internets. Monthly, weekly, yearly packages, all available. I recommend you go do it. If you're playing more than like $10 a week, whether it's betting or whether it's on DraftKings or wherever, it's probably something you may want to look into because it's really helping people. So 3 shout-outs I want to give. Jason Werbicki, he sent me a message, it just finally got passed along to me, won the $4 100K at the Open Championship, viewer of this show. So shout out, Jason. Enjoy your 100K. Awesome. Last week at the Canadian Open, Fantasy National member Oyster Dude won 100K. In the giant $5. Last week at the Bridgestone on the weekend, John Croner, Fantasy National member, won 100K in the $5 as well. That's nuts. Back to back to back. I wish we could be better But I'm glad to see that the people who are
Yeah.
watching the show are actually doing quite well. So congratulations to everyone out there. Become a Fantasy National member today. We got some winners too. 20 DK bucks should be in your account. Hopefully a little bit later on today. We'll see. Sometimes they're slow with this stuff. But the winners of the giveaways from the shows last week, which are still incredibly viable. Shout out to Gup, NYC Punter, Mike Leone, and Ben Raza for breaking down the early betting and early DraftKings pricing with me. Those shows obviously still up, and you can subscribe to them on demand. Billy Pence is a winner. Yes, Cam is a winner. That is not Cam Stewart. That is somebody else. A Madden 33 and Riz Bryan, our buddy Riz Bryan.
He responds to everything.
Hey,
It's
look,
about time the auto generator
It got him in there. He does.
Pulled him.
He is
He
putting in the
active,
entries.
active entering, active follower of everything we do, and certainly that you put out.
And he
here.
makes great Tim gifts as well, which is absolutely fantastic.
Oh,
but
he
he's the
does.
one, like, listen, sometimes you got to be a volume player with this. That, you know, the more entries that you put in, the more chance your name comes out. So 20 DKA bucks to everyone out there. If you want to get into the draw for this one, you can do it 3 separate ways. You can go to iTunes, leave a review with your DK handle, and something positive about the show, like, hey, I like Jeff's hair. Jeff's funny. Pat, not so terrible. 5 stars. Boom. You're in the draw for that. In the comment section, I want your top price player. 30 to 1 to below. So 30 to 1 to the Dustin Johnson range, who you think is going to miss the cut. Leave your DraftKings name. Boom. You're in the draw for that. I'll announce those on Wednesday. Plus, you can continue to get in the draw through Twitter and Facebook anytime that you see any content released for the PGA Championship. Give it a retweet and then respond to me with your DraftKings handle and the hashtag DKPGAChamp1, because we just did the champ last week and this is a totally different draw. So do it all those 3 ways and boom, you're in the draw. You can win some DK bucks. Wednesday's live chat with Reed Fowler, 1:30 p.m. Eastern time on the DraftKings YouTube channel. I'll be announcing the winners. Do you know what we need to do now, Mr. Fienberg?
break down the PGA Championship?
We will break down the PGA Championship, but we need to be more informed going into this. Like, I ran my models, I looked at all the stats, but there's the big thing that you need to know going into making any pick before you lay any money down. And that, my friend, is who is ANDERCURSED. So let's bring in a Tim ANDERCURSED!
Tim ANDERCURSED.
That is not my name.
No, I heard it was your name.
Then you've been hearing lies.
No, I've been hearing real
Come on.
news. You're just fake news. But anyway,
You are completely fake news.
you have been brought in to give us, as you do for every single one of these majors, your 3 picks for the PGA Championship. So, let's hear them.
Okay, I have had the least confidence in any major with this one. Glory's last shot, soon to be Glory's second shot. I haven't decided.
Also not called Glory's last shot anymore, by the way.
Well, that makes sense since it's not going to be after this year.
Yeah,
I guess.
but it hasn't been called that since like 2013.
But is that also because there's a $10 million check that someone gets to win in 6 weeks?
Yeah, but now next year it switches to May.
Yes.
So anyway,
I guess
your
this is
picks.
major.
So like based on like the way that you're talking about the tournament, are you just picking people that were good in 2012?
No.
But
with trepidation and with the least confidence I've had in picks in a while, in third place, my third least confident is Phil Mickelson.
Phil!
Has taken the golf world over with the greatest commercial in the history of golf.
can I interrupt?
One sec, did you see that someone made a commercial of the Phil commercial, but with Tim? Fantastic.
Okay.
Did you see Phil shuffling down the fairway yesterday?
I need to interject right now because I almost wanted to put this out on Twitter last night that I might have a mea culpa on Phil coming, like within me.
It's working on me too.
It is like from the lowest point I think he could have gotten with those US Open shenanigans, in my opinion, to where he is today, Chichi Rodriguezing into like his birdie putts. Like I'm amazed. Like I'm amazed. Like I've always tracked Tiger in like the stages of personality changes, like 1.0, 2.0, like 3.0, which is now like Happy Media Tiger. Phil, I don't like have that sort of insight to really track where we are, but whatever this version is, I'm like into it. And I think this is like self-deprecating. This guy, I think, is here for the long term right now. I don't think it's a blip. I think he's going to go out like this for a long time right now. And I'm buying stock.
Well, here's
not
the,
in winning
here-
this
here-
week.
Here's the thing, though. He's in like the Mick Foley point of his career right now, where
Sure.
he's never going to be champion. So you just go out and do goofy stuff, and people will like you.
And it
He won the WGC in Mexico 4 months ago.
Yeah, so he's won once in the past 6 years.
No.
In one of the top fields of the year. Okay.
maybe the tournament or one of the better.
I
tournaments
do
of the
enjoy
year.
that before Phil won a WGC, Tim was like, WGCs are meaningless because Tiger had won so many.
Yeah, so I'm just saying I feel a mea culpa within me coming, and as silly as the commercial is,
The commercial's great.
I mean, like, it's freaking fantastic. And now he's bringing it to the golf course. I don't think, like, over under on how many, like, shimmy shuffles he did, this weekend on the course.
Well, I guess the question is over under shimmy shuffles that he did versus number of those awful shirts sold. 'Cause I don't think anyone's buying those shirts.
I think, listen.
Who the hell
I'll
is going to
even
buy
argue
those shirts?
The shirts look comfortable.
will.
I don't want to wear it to golf, but it looks comfortable.
I'm not going to lie to you, Tim. If you put on one of those Phil Mickelson shirts, you would look just like Phil Mickelson.
Well, I take that as a compliment.
He's
That's
growing
not a
the
co-
hair
that's
out
not a
again.
compliment.
Listen, there should be a prop. Like, I would say 80% of the time. No, that's a little high. Like, half the time the camera was on him, he was shuffling yesterday. Doing the moves. So I don't know. Like, he's probably going to do it at least 24 times this week.
Well, now that he's cursed, he might only get 36 holes to do it.
If they could ever convince Phil to go on Twitter, he would be the best golfer on Twitter by so much, it wouldn't even be close.
Of course, he'd just be tweeting out like insider trading tips, and then he'd get banned again.
Well, it wouldn't be. He never got banned to begin with. He didn't have to take a 6-month break like certain golfers.
You mean the number one player in the world?
Yes,
The
who's
be-
a
the be-
lovely player.
The better player who you're not picking?
A lovely player who's in my miss the cut
Okay.
parlay.
Jesus. Why are you picking Phil, by the way, besides the fact that you like Phil?
I don't know if people remember, Phil played pretty decently at Carnoustie. I was concerned how he was going to show up to his first major after the disaster at Shinnecock, and he more than held his own. And historically, he's not a great player over there, even though in 2013, of course, he won the doubleheader. And of course, he played out of his mind at Troon. Other than those two moments, he hasn't been a golfer who's been crazy good over there. So as his career starting to wane, I'm concerned. And yet he played very respectable golf. And on Sunday, in the toughest conditions, he played very good golf. When a lot of better golfers by numbers couldn't stop falling apart. So I just think a place like Bellerive, where Phil may have played here before, and he may be the only one on tour who has played here before.
They played here in 2008, and he didn't play in the 1992 PGA Championship.
Yeah, see, I wasn't sure about that. So it's a complete unknown to everybody, and just Phil's a wily vet, and I just think he's going to play. I mean, he's not my number one pick, but I just think he's starting to rebound a little bit, and of course, everybody loves Phil, so it would be a cool story, and the crowds will be with him. So that's why.
All right, so who is your number 2 pick to win the PGA Championship?
So this might be a little off the board, but I like Thorbjørn Olesen. as my second.
Little off the board. You kidding me?
Like,
Nobody's picking him as their.
Everyone's picking him.
everyone watching this, it's not off the board. I joked how because
70-1.
because of Dustin's win in Canada and JT's win, we're gonna get drift on everybody except maybe 2 guys.
And he's one of them.
Is Thorbjorn.
70-1. I think the number's there.
Yeah,
I think that's.
yeah,
It was
he-
like 120 like a week like
Yeah,
4
he's one of like the 3 other people who saw their odds actually get worse
Yeah.
over the weekend.
What were his odds Sunday morning?
Like to win WGC or to win this.
This.
I think it was like 120 to 1.
I even saw 100 last
Sleeper
night.
no one's ever heard of
He's the
Thorbjørn
only-
I never
Olesen.
said
Okay,
no one ever heard
He's
of him.
taking
Of course people heard of him.
he's taking the most action of anyone north of 80
he
to
might
1.
be the highest owned guy on DraftKings this week too.
It's a good idea because he's going to he might very well will win. So
I'm a
it's probably good idea.
I'm a big fan of Thunder Bear, but okay.
Okay,
yeah.
why Olesen then?
Again, very impressive at Carnoustie. He's playing some pretty good golf. We saw last weekend he acquitted himself well in a pretty tough field. I don't know. And again, the PGA is a weird place where, unlike the other 3 tournaments where there are year after year discernible skills that translate into victories, the PGA Championship doesn't have that. It's by far the biggest crapshoot, in my opinion, of all the majors. And so you just go with a guy who I think has got pretty good form right now. it's a long course. I think he's a decent hit. I just like him. I'm not super duper like over the moon confident, but this is the hardest major to handicap by far. But it's who I'm going with.
Before yesterday, had you ever seen him take a shot before?
I watched him play at the British Open. He played very good. He was in contention for a while.
No, he wasn't.
Yes, he was. He was in contention on Friday and Saturday, for heaven's sake. He played very well at Carnoustie.
What did he come like? T17? T12 maybe?
I'll look it up.
I'd say
he was up.
I don't know, just like anyone watching this show, like you could tell your non-golf friends Thorborn Olsen, that'd be a very like off the board pick. But I think this Monday morning, as we sit here, feels very popular and trendy.
Yeah, it could be. Listen, he did come T12 at the Open. He had a nice Sunday.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, he had a nice Sunday.
He's a
there.
form player too.
He is. Well, I mean, he either comes inside like the top 20 or he comes dead last.
But he rides the form.
He's
so,
sort of like the Danish Siwoo.
But just in going in the Thorbjorn backer ways, Thunder Bears, what's going for him is he's a player. He finds form and he rides it, and we're seeing
the only thing that could rattle Olesen is people taking shots at the king.
Well, I mean, the monarchy is sacrosanct within Denmark, so that's really tough to do. So his last, since the Italian Open, first miscut, second miscut, 6th, 12th, 3rd. So that's his form. He's in great form.
Great form.
But you know he's a landmine at the same time.
Landmine. Any chance to squeal a Ryder Cup spot? You'd have to keep that fire.
He'd have to keep this riding, yeah.
Yeah.
So who is your number one pick to win, Tim?
Do people know this yet?
No.
Justin Thomas. And I hate the fact that he won last week. Guys almost never, ever win back-to-back in the PGA.
Rory and Tiger are the last two to do it.
Yeah. Phil did it in 2013 as well. But, it's so rare to do.
Phil did what in 2013?
Won the Scottish Open and British Open back-to-back. It's so hard to win 2 tournaments back-to-back. But
well, I mean, sure, it's hard to win tournaments back-to-back. It's much tougher when you have to win a WGC and then win the PGA
But just
Championship.
elite players. I mean, listen, we saw when Molinari is in form. Like, when a guy like Thomas is in form,
yep.
I think, to me, I would... How do I put this? I guess because I won't be betting him, it's favorable that you might be eliminating him in many ways, but
I don't accept the premise of that.
That's because you're fake news, Tim.
He scares the bejesus out of me, and the par 70 that can play up to the distance this course can play to eliminates a lot of guys, and he's certainly one of the few left
I don't know
standing.
if it does or not, because a lot of this, and I mean, to Tim's point about Phil, I think this course could be very well set up for lefties, almost like Augusta in a certain way. There's so many dog-leg right to lefts that just the natural shot shape of a lefty can really go a long way. That's why I think Bubba could be live as well, just because that's how Bubba hates Bridgestone because it's a straight course. Bubba likes it when you have to shape shots around and do funky things off the tee. And I think Phil actually kind of falls into that too. But do you think that Phil can hit enough drivers, Tim, and still compete here? Because at a lot of the other majors, he could dial back a bit off the tee. Maybe he can here. I'm just curious to know if you think that, same as Tiger, if they have to hit driver, they're kind of fucked.
But what do you think people are going to do? Because from my understanding, the deeper you get with those big hitters, that's when the danger comes into play. It's where the fairway gets a lot more narrow. And it does seem like that this is setting up for long irons.
So if that's the case, but then you got your shorter hitters who just normally hit those all the time. Like Ryan Moore can take a driver off the tee and just do what he normally does.
Yeah, like Francesco. He's happy to hit from 185 and putt from 20 feet.
Or who? Spieth?
Spieth, another short hitter, right?
Spieth's not a short hitter, by the way. He's not. Just because you're not Dustin Johnson doesn't mean you're a short hitter. Think he's above average on tour in terms of driving distance.
I just think because he's got 3 majors, and begrudgingly he qualify him as a super elite.
Could have 4.
He's the shortest of all the really elite players.
Yeah, I mean him, and I guess do you include Reed as a super elite player?
No. Maybe I should.
He's longer than Stenson.
Maybe I should. Yeah, no, absolutely. But Stenson also gives up yards for accuracy.
Yeah. So anyway, so those are your 3 guys,
Tim.
Phil, Thorbjorn, and Justin Thomas?
Yeah.
Tim, has been adamant. I'm surprised he's sort of down on the event this week because Hasn't he been the guy out there that says this is better than the Masters?
I believe that's what he said, yes.
No, like that's
Well,
his take. Well, like, listen, I understand that I unfairly play to the narrative of it just feels lesser than the other ones.
It does feel lesser.
Even though the field is stronger and the course is...
I don't even know if the field is stronger. You got like 25 club pros in the field.
It's just, it's deeper. There's no one like not here. While the other ones, like the invitations are stricter.
Yes, I agree.
So you're right. Well, we're letting in...
I don't want to bash the Masters. It's one of the top 4 tournaments of the year. I don't want to bash the Masters, but
you
PGA
rank the majors. You have this tournament higher than almost anybody I know who loves golf. Like
Well, what I
ranking
like
all
about
4
it is
majors.
because of the freedom that both the PGA of America knows how to set up a course better than the R&A, the USGA, or whatever Augusta National. They don't even set up Augusta National. It's already pre-set up for them. This is the PGA's signature event where they get to set up a course, and they have the most experience with it. They get to go to interesting, fun tracks that sometimes are stretched back way into history, but also sometimes are relatively new. The field is fantastic. You don't have any of the amateurs. I kind of prefer the fact that it's all pros at this event. It's a great tournament. It's a shame that it's no longer going to be the capstone on the major season, but it's still a lot of fun. And I'm hoping that when we see it at Bethpage next year in the rain and wind and cold of May, whether it'll be as interesting or whether it'll just be a lesser version of the U.S. Open, which is what I'm afraid of.
Well, you love the U.S. Open, though.
But I don't want to see something.
You don't want to see the PGA Championship be super tough?
Well, it was super tough last year, but that was out of the control of the PGA. Like, if you're setting it up in May in cold places, then I'm not so sure. Like, it's not doing its own thing anymore. It's sort of like copycatting. I don't know. It's hard to describe. It's a lot of fun. This is the most creative and interesting of the majors because you can go anywhere and no one will be upset.
Well, you can now.
I'll give
Now
them that.
that it's going to May, you can go anywhere. The reason that they're moving it to May is because you can't go to Texas right now. It's just too hot.
I get it.
There's plenty. Like Florida is out of the question for the PGA Championship in this time slot because, again, people don't want to be playing in 110.
Oh yeah, PGA National will be hosting this tournament in relatively soon order.
Which will be awesome. Like, it should be.
Yeah.
That's what it was basically designed. It was designed to what? Do the players, or was it designed for this? It was designed for this, right?
For this, but they didn't want to keep hosting it in January. They even held it in January once.
I do agree with Tim that in terms of course selection, I mean, the Masters you can't even include in the argument.
No.
It has no restrictions. It can go anywhere. And if I look at the courses where they've gone the last, run of times, I always am impressed. So yeah, it's growing. It's growing on me. But I'm also a guy that gets excited for like the Safeway.
Yeah.
So like it's a freaking major. And then last year you throw in that Ric Flair intro, and oh my God, that like changed everything for me.
Coverage for the PGA Championship is probably second to only the British Open in terms of actually watching it on TV. There's a lot of coverage out there for it, which is really nice.
And we're always lucky in Canada for majors. Sometimes we get the short end of the stick, but in Canada, because TSN sort of plays all the live feeds
all the stuff that you would have to watch on your computer, you can watch it on
regular
TV.
TV.
Yeah, like DirecTV, people have the same benefit as well.
Yes.
All right, Tim.
This is the TNT tournament.
Any final thoughts? Any like no hole-in-one props?
It's not out there. We have been winning so much money on this prop that the books have taken it down.
You won 2 in a row at minus money after putting the biggest one in at the Masters and losing that bet.
Vegas is trying to shut us down from giving out free money to the people. That's why it's not posted. Of that,
how many par threes?
4 par threes, 2 par fives.
The field's huge. I don't know. This one,
I don't know how the par threes are set up, so I can't really speak to it. Like, the Masters sets up a hole to be a hole-in-one hole every Sunday.
I'll say this about Tim's picks. I'm not looking to pick on any of them. Like last time we made a bet on
when he picked Matthew Fitzpatrick to win.
Yeah, and then we did a head-to-head Hatton.
And you won.
V Fitz. Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Yeah, Hatton got in on the number.
Pardon?
Yeah, Hatton got in on the number.
Well, even if he had shot one higher, he still would have beat Fitzpatrick.
I think he beat him by 1 stroke.
No, he beat him by 2 strokes.
Yeah, I don't know. Tim...
You like Tim's collection of picks?
Yeah, well, he wasn't... Sometimes I feel like because he puts them out early and like you catch him off guard and bully him into a pick like the Fitzpatrick pick. I feel he was kind of bullied into making this one.
He shouldn't have been talking about Matthew Fitzpatrick and how great he is.
This one feels like, yeah, it's a shot. I mean, he's going with I always love form before big tournaments, and like top player in the world off a win, and the sexy young Euro who's coming in fire.
And
who
Phil.
People are on. And
whose shirt can barely
Phil.
hold his breasts.
Who, like, Tim, as much as he loves Phil, he, like, turncoats on him hard, back and forth. In terms of
Tim's
what,
trying to use the curse
in
to his
terms of what
advantage.
Phil is capable of, Tim is very back and forth.
All right, well, Tim, you said you had a to miss the cut parlay that featured Dustin Johnson.
Yeah, a couple of golfers I just don't.
Get out
I don't know
of
what-
town.
All right,
man.
well, let's hear your to miss the cut parlay.
At Carnoustie. Did he play the weekend?
What did Justin Thomas do at Carnoustie?
In a major. How could he miss the cut in a major?
Yeah, well, I mean, the guy that you're picking also missed the cut at that same tournament. By
That
the way.
guy, I'm just saying, to me, those two guys, Dustin and JT, like, and I guess Rory, if you believe it's time for him to get over something, it's time to go. And I think JT and Dustin deserve to be where they are.
Let's hear this to miss the cut parlay.
Spieth has screwed me the last two majors. Spieth is not making the cut. He's done. It's Spieth, it's Johnson, and it's Luke List, who can't putt to save his life. Get him out of here, too. Those three guys.
Luke List, reverse cursed. The time is now. No player outside of the top 50 in the world has won since Keegan Bradley won the PGA Championship in 2011. Luke List, currently inside the top 50 in the world.
Okay.
The world!
I saw that.
And he can't even putt!
So the Justin Ray stat.
Yeah.
And I'll say this, there's still opportunities to get good odds.
Yeah.
Like, because, everyone, if you aren't sort of one of those top couple, you're still getting great numbers. You've seen big numbers still cash, whether it be Jimmy Walker's cash, whether it be Danny Willett's cash.
It's out there. But those guys were top 50 players in the world.
Yeah, Danny Willett was like, yeah, that's what I mean.
Danny Willett was like 11th
No,
in the world.
but I don't want somebody to see that and be like, oh, so like only like
three guys can win.
Got to be under 35-1 or something. No, there's still opportunities to cash big numbers, even though that stat might feel like otherwise.
All right, so Timmy,
The only big numbers for List will be the ones on his scorecard.
DJ, Spieth, List, and who?
Those are the three. Connect the three.
Oh, just the three. Well, finally, what's your take on Jon Rahm for this one? Because doesn't this feel like if there's a major Jon Rahm could win, it would be the PGA Championship?
Rahm, Fowler, all strike me as the same sort of guy. And Day, good players who, if they win a major, it'll be this.
That's what I just said.
Yeah, so I agree.
Oh, okay.
I'm with you on that. We're in violent agreement.
All right.
I want to thank Tim for custing. Because of his super guaranteed the Jaguars would lose to Pittsburgh in a playoff game. I have Ricky Fowler parlayed with the Jags money line to win this golf tournament because of Tim's guarantee that day.
Still a losing bet.
Yes, but I like to think I won enough on the Jags that day to cover all those attached parlays with it.
That's fair. All right, Tim. Thank you for being on. If you want to follow Tim on Twitter to get some of his crazy takes, you can do that at Tim Undercust.
Tim Andercust.
That is neither my name nor my Twitter handle. It's at Tim Anderson87. I bring the funny. I am the cognoscenti of the internet.
Not your fake news. You gotta follow Tim at Tim Andercust, not this other fake news Twitter account. It's probably a Russian bot or something like that. Anyway, let's get into the picks. Very top of the board, DJ is your favorite. He is 8-1. Rory McIlroy, 12-1. Jordan Spieth has dropped because we've seen significant drift on a lot of these guys. So Fowler and Spieth are now 22-1. Tiger's 25. JT has vaulted up to 14. Brooks is 20. Rose is 22 with the injury. Tommy Fleetwood is 28, Rahm is 25, Day is 20, and Molinari is 30. Those are the guys 30-1 and below. Odds would say the winner is probably going to... Actually, odds wouldn't say the winner would come in here. By win equity, there's like 35% of the win equity mixed up in all these players. But is there any one guy from this range that you just want to go out on a ledge and say he's going to win? Because I think my favorite's maybe Rose because of the odds, but that injury scares the crap out of me.
Injury's really scary. We all know Justin Rose, it's about majors or bust at this point in his career. So withdrawing from a WGC the week before a major isn't, say if...
Remember the last time he had a back problem? He lost in the playoff to Sergio at the Masters?
So there.
Well, he didn't win, so it'd be a bad bet.
No, but
although we were able to hedge against it.
Yeah, you take that equity. Listen, if you've been on the Rose train like all year, he's been consistent, he's been delivering, he's been giving those results. Now you're getting the bigger number. It's not for me. I think a true number of all these guys, I think Brooks is pretty enticing. That being said, I just want to backtrack a second to the very top here. Dustin Johnson at 8-1. He opened in Canada at Glen Abbey against that field at 7. And now he's 8 on this course against this field is quite comical. That being said, as we spoke about in the Canada show, there was a heavy piece made, and when it looked like Canada was going very well for him, I took majority of what I risked on Dustin to win in Canada and put him to win here at 12-1. It went to 10-1 after he won in Canada, and now I'm seeing 8 after his fantastic Sunday at the Bridgestone. I'll say this. The time has to happen now, because it is unacceptable for this man to have one major. It is unacceptable that him and Keegan Bradley have the same amount of major championships. So that's got to change. The course could very well suit everything he does. Which he does everything well.
This is a really tricky course to figure out of how guys are going to play it. Like I mentioned with Tim, like there's a lot of dogleg lefts. If you hit a big draw, I mean, Dustin, I think, hits a pretty big cutoff. Not that he can't play the shots, you know what I mean? I think he prefers to play a cut. So are you uncertain if guys like Dustin, John Rahm, those guys are going to play like a bomb and gouge?
Yes. Or are they going to lay back and try to hit the green from 160? We know Dustin's pretty much near the top in every range, so that doesn't concern me. But as we've mentioned, as the fairways get into that bomber landing zone, it's where we get narrower, and it's where we find trouble. That being said, for the purposes of owning the Dustin bet, I was giddy with how he played Sunday at Firestone.
What do you think the winning score this week is going to be?
I don't have a clue.
I don't have a clue either.
I don't have a clue.
Because there's a lot of bunkers. Obviously, the redesign came in 2005, so anything that happened before that is sort of irrelevant. 2008 BMW Championship is the last one we can really look to as how this course played. And Camilo Villegas won, so what does that really tell us? It was a lot of short hitters at the top of the leaderboard, accuracy players. And from all the photos that I've seen from Bellerive so far, is that the rough's like this. Like, you don't want to be in the rough. Like, if you get down in the rough, you're kind of screwed.
Here's the other problem.
But
early indications are the green, not so much the fairways, but the greens are burnt out a bit.
Well, the greens are huge.
But if you're coming in because it's distance and you don't want to bomb and gouge, or some people can't, that's not even an option for a lot of guys. It's a lot harder to hold the green from 185 than it is from 140.
Well, then you would want your Jason Day, Justin Thomas, Dustin Johnson, high ball hitters that can
so high. Justin is.
Or you could almost make the counter narrative to that too. That someone like Kevin Kisner is so used to hitting some of these shots from like 230 away that he's good at rolling it up.
Question.
That he can hold it.
When you guys recorded that show with Gup and Punner, what were Justin's odds? Do you remember?
Paul, what were his odds?
Last week.
Because
he was 30 to... Sorry.
Let him say it. What was 25. Now he's 14.
Because I was going to say, if he was 30 to win Bridgestone, and he was 25 to win at the Open, there must have been a number to like last week. I'm not surprised it dropped. He seems to only get respected after wins.
Yeah,
like when he's
like Day.
When he's not playing well, his number like balloons in ways other players don't. And by not playing well, I just mean like not finding the winner's circle,
not winning,
missing the cut at a major championship where lots of good players, seemingly missed a cut.
Here are the players from last week, and Justin Thomas is not one of them. Players that gained at least 2 strokes by strokes gained metrics off the tee and through approach. Do you know who those players are?
Dustin Johnson?
No.
2 strokes off the tee and through approach.
At least 2 strokes off the tee and at least 2 strokes in approach.
Brooks Koepka.
Brooks was number 1. Brooks couldn't putt last week.
Tommy Fleetwood?
Tommy Fleetwood is the second. Gary Woodland.
Thorbjorn?
Nope. Kyle Stanley. John Rahm, and Ross Fisher.
Yeah.
Those were your 6 that were they weren't the best. Obviously, Justin, I think he gained like 0.3 off the tee and like 9 through approach. You want the approach guys, but just as sort of a mixed bag of consistency across the board. Yeah, Brooks just couldn't putt at all. Same as Ben On. Ben On lost almost 10 strokes putting.
And he was like +5 in approach.
Yeah, he wasn't awful. He just couldn't putt. He's not going to lose 10 this week, I'll tell you that much. But like lag putting is so hard to figure out. And if these are really truly burnt out greens and they're gigantic, I think they're like on average like 7,200 square feet. Like guys are going to hit greens in regulation, like a lot. But they might be on like the 4th tier down having to putt like 100 feet, which may not be the best. I wish there was sort of like a lag putting stat. There's not. It's more like an eye test type thing. He's a great lag putter. Dustin, for one thing.
Okay.
So is Bubba Watson.
Well, we've always raved when Bubba was sort of that really elite player before he fell back and came back. He was so, the pink driver and the bomber, but people never gave him the credit for 3-putt avoidance, which pretty much all comes down to lag putting.
No, because it's a weird stat. Because like,
but if your second putt,
like let's say you're truly horrendous at approach, and like you're always like I don't know, like 35 feet from the hole, like your 3-putt avoidance, like if you have a really good number there, then that would be really good. But if you're like Luke List and you constantly hit it to 5 feet, then 3-putt, like that's not great.
Okay, fair.
Or if you're someone who's just like laser with the approaches, like someone like Justin Thomas, who's fantastic at approach. If you're hitting it to 15 feet every time, you're just never going to 3-putt.
Fair.
So it's a hard one to really gauge.
What do you make of Rory? Because there's a lot of negativity surrounding him.
I hyped Rory as my best DraftKings play coming into the week. I did not like what I saw at Bridgestone at all. But I look at his major championship performances from this year, which are just, he missed the cut at the U.S. Open. A lot of people missed the cut at the U.S. Open. But he was top
20 minutes into the Masters, I think we all, after when he put that shot on 2 to 7 feet for eagle, he subsequently missed. I'm like, oh my God.
Rory was top 5 at the Masters. He was second at the Open Championship. He's been second at Wentworth. Like, for all the negative, you're right. He's been having a really good year. He has the win at Bay Hill. He has a bunch of top 5s. He has 7 top 10s, now 8 top 10s and 18 starts.
It's been a long time since he's won. He got to 4 majors so quick that we've just been waiting for 5, and now it's been 3-4 years. So there's a lot of internal questions or outside questions. But yeah, when I think of how poorly, say, his shots from he was ranked 100, they said on the broadcast, in shots from wedges this week.
He has not been good.
He can't stick the wedges at all. We see Dustin dominant. When he hits a great drive, he is putting those putts to birdie very makeable birdie range. Not happening for Rory. But at the same time, you run off these results, and it's he did what he did at the Open. He didn't make a putt for 3.5 days, and he finishes second. So it does feel like it's so close, and this course really does suit him. And I do think he is deservedly in the top 3 this week with Justin and Dustin. He's also playing with Tiger, which didn't he make comments earlier in the year?
That. But 12-1, I'm just not interested.
Not interested.
I'll play him on DraftKings. I love him for DraftKings, but 12-1 is just not an area I really want to be in here.
I agree.
But the one positive case for Rory, if we're really looking at it, obviously he has 2 PGA Championship wins already. And then if you look back at Reese Jones redesigns, he's won at Eastlake. He's also won Congressional, which was the U.S. Open that year, which were both Reese Jones redesign. So it's very interesting with Rory. A lot of positive things working in his direction. He did gain 4.3 strokes putting at Bridgestone and lost almost 3 through approaches.
And you saw that.
Yeah, but he gained so many off the tee that, if he can just... And we see it with Rory. You can tell whether he's dialed in with his irons or he's off. Because he's either sticking everything to 3 feet or he's missing the green. And when I did the flyover, I included this in my article on TK Playbook. There's a flyover for every hole. There's water on this course, but it only really seems to come into play if your irons are sort of wonky. The greens are so big, you should be able to hit them, but if either the wind picks up or you're veering slightly right on some of your approaches, you're just, boom, Agua City. Getting wet. So I worry about his but his upside is so high. That's why I like him more for a DraftKings play than an actual bet. So are you taking anyone from up here? Because I mentioned Fleetwood. He's now down to 28. The buzz is sort of off, Tommy. He did his classic one really low round and then just couldn't string it together for 4 rounds.
It's enticing. I would say this. At this moment, the guy in this group that I seem to be attracted to the most could be Brooks.
Brooks?
His his game was pretty much on point last week, except the putting, as you mentioned. I think he was third in strokes gained tee to green, and I like a lot of what's happening there.
Okay.
And at 20-1, when you consider he like went off at the U.S. Open at 25, I think that's a good number. 22-1. Maybe I've seen it as low as 18, but he's the guy from the top
Brooks
that
was
if I
actually
was getting in today.
Brooks was actually first tee to green at Bridgetown. It was Brooks, Rahm, Stanley, Thomas, Leishman.
To me, that's a fan. I mean, great form. A guy that, I mean, we joke. Like, I made the joke in Canada. Like, Brooks only wins big events. Like, if the event's not big enough, maybe, like, I don't know. It's this weird thing going on there. So I'm pretty high on Brooks in that 20, 22. Apparently, Shops had 25s last night, but got hit pretty hard on those. So it has come down.
Quickly, Tiger, yes or no? No for me.
No, I feel like such a sucker for playing him at last week. No, I just like I feel like such a sucker for just
So do
like
I. When I could have been
Tiger,
Thomas at double.
no life jacket at Bridgestone, like thinking it's some freaking Disney movie. Fool.
I don't think Tiger's allowed to be associated with Disney. He's not a wholesome fellow.
3.0?
He still existed before this, you remember.
Listen, 3.0 is winning back and soon. Sooner than later.
Well, his first win is going to be when he beats Phil in the head-to-head.
I'm just saying, I think we're on the precipice of everything coming back to Tiger. All those big sponsorships, I think
Oh, yeah, they're all coming back.
They're all going to be coming back.
You know what needs to come back first? His ability to fucking play on a Sunday.
I know.
And not be Ted Potter Jr. every Sunday.
I'm still macro view. I'm still macro view. A lot of people are micro and saying, old Tiger never would have lost that Open Championship, tied for a lead, in a lead, had a lead, 9 holes to go. No way ever. And I get that and it hurts me. But I'm still in the macro big picture of the process and where we were like 6 months ago that I still have to be very excited about the prospects of going forward. But for this week, no. And I don't know, is it the time of the show? We should almost have like a bit where I get to like throw shade on Spieth.
I wasn't even really going to talk about him. He's 22-1, so is Ricky. I will say I have more faith that Spieth wins over Ricky Fowler.
Of course you do.
Of
course everybody.
Who wouldn't?
Me.
Why? Well, give me one logical reason why Ricky has a better chance to win than Spieth.
Just because I thought he was going to have a huge year and this is Glory's last chance.
It's not, though. It's not anymore.
I don't have a good answer other than I also...
And I feel like I get on both of the sides of it, and I think it's just the juxtaposition between you and I, how you're always really pro Ricky, and I just throw cold water on it all the time. I don't dislike Ricky, and I don't think that he can't win. It's just, I don't think that he deserves to be favored. Like, he's a top, 6 favorite in this field? Like, that's ludicrous. It really is.
Is he that high? I feel like he's drifted back.
He's 22.
Imagine he did like what Thorbjorn did. He'd be like 16.
I agree, but like, it's so ridiculous.
Yeah, I agree. That's ridiculous. And I'll admit something, because we spoke about it with Tim. I thanked him because I've got that it's almost like 61-1 parlay with Jags money line from the playoff game versus Pittsburgh. But do you know what my number is there?
What?
Like, what do you think Ricky to win this tournament
was in
January?
I know, 16. We did the show, I remember.
No, I don't know. Yeah. And I guess it's easy to guess. And I also felt Ricky was going to have such a big year that by the time we got to Bellerive, it would probably be shorter.
In that show, I picked Kuchar to win, by the way. Interesting.
I don't know. Spieth toyed with us because we had that, it was very fun when we did the cut sweat versus at the U.S. Open.
Yeah, and I picked him to win the Masters, and he made the run.
And then,
I got all my money out. It was great.
And then at the British, everyone, Saturday night is tweeting at me like he won and, get ready to be bombarded, Fienberg. And we all saw what happened there.
The curse took hold.
This is what I want to say.
Grabbed him.
And this goes back to when we first started and Spieth first started winning majors. Did we not say all the time, how frustrating it must be for Justin Thomas? Because we would joke how Justin Thomas, their whole life, in their one-on-one, street matches, course matches, probably beats him at a 66% clip, in my opinion. And here,
I like how, in your opinion, that's how he beats him. Like, there's results on how they do head-to-head.
no, I don't mean on tour.
Oh, okay.
I mean, like, growing up from, like, 13 years old, like, you know, they play games, like, you know, whether it be Munis or, you know, Tuesday cash games. I think Justin's been beating him forever, and Jordan was winning all the majors. I always thought Justin was better, but I don't know. For Jordan to win, he's got to pull out his Jed Bluth magic stick. Everything's got to drop from, like, the 40 feet, the chips. When Dustin or Justin win, Pat, there's none of that. There really is none of that.
They're like Rory in that sense, that when they win, it's a dominant win. Spieth rarely has a dominant win. He
can win by dominant scores, but the play just kind of feels like it's sort of we're everywhere.
The only real dominant win, like on a huge scale, that I can remember Spieth having was the first Masters, and he just blew everyone away.
Blew them away. Yeah, no, it just feels different. He needs a magic stick to work compared to these other elite players that just absolutely dominate. That being said, laying back, avoiding the trouble off the tee, using that second shot game, his approach is strong, just couldn't putt.
But here's the thing. And the putting started to crank up a little bit over the weekend at Bridgestone. But if we're talking about lag putting in these giant greens,
sucks.
That's not good.
And
he's either going to make it from 100 feet or 4-putt.
Yeah, because when he's got that 6-footer, like, I don't know, those are like 50-50 to him when the tour average is like 85% or something. I don't know.
Oh, so I ran all rounds Jordan Spieth has played against Justin Thomas. And this is actually one of the features that people don't even realize on Fantasy National. You can go and look up the head-to-head history of everyone. So in 226 rounds head-to-head, do you know what the score is?
No.
Or did you see it on the page?
I didn't.
It's very close. Jordan Spieth, 106 wins. Justin Thomas, 101 wins.
Justin took a while to get cranked up, though.
And in tournaments, all tournaments played head-to-head. They played 68 tournaments head-to-head. Jordan is 38-25 against him.
I guess we also have to mention there's 2 Grand Slams here.
There's 2? If Jordan wins, he gets a career Grand Slam. Who's the other one?
Nike Golf.
Oh. I guess
it's a single season Grand Slam.
There's also the people with no club sponsors have won the first 3 tournaments.
That's fantastic. Although I joke with Nike Golf, they're like that guy you don't like in DraftKings who overlays like everything. They're just buying up every empty spot in the field, too. Like that guy, you know.
So, last guy, Molinari, Rom Day. Hunter was still big on Molly. I'm just not a Molly guy, so I've lost.
I have to just think like at some point the finite math on this run has to just run out.
Unless he's truly an elite player.
And the glory of that Open Championship, I don't know, man, that's got to be something else. And like you said, he's taken himself to a new level because we rarely see. I don't know.
Even with what he's been doing, I know some of the majors don't get included in the stats, but you see that he's top 10 in ball striking, top 10 tee to green, the best at approach, killing par 4s, killing birdies or better, still can't putt.
Incredible.
I know. Although, if we include it in the Open Championship, he made every single putt on Sunday from anywhere.
This might be an egregious statement. I got no interest.
Do you have interest
I kind
in
of
Rom?
think it's popped.
Rom or Day? I'd take Rom.
You know me, that's an easy question. That would be Rom, sort of like you alluded to with Tim. Even Rom haters kind of acknowledge if there's one of these majors that kind of suit him more than the others, it could be this and this course. He's the interesting one too, though, because, you know, coming out early in the year, he kind of, in very vocal in interviews, bomb and gouge. Like almost 98% of the time, his strategy with his skill set is bomb and gouge. Will he lay back a bit, or I assume he's still going to try to bomb and gouge?
I would think so too.
That's what he does.
I'm not probably.
And the greens are so big, you can gouge it out, hit it. And what's his three?
I just told you I don't know. That's why I said there's no good stats for this. 3-putt percentage is not accurate in terms of what we're actually looking for.
Yes.
It's a pure. If people want to like treat it as like. it's so subjective because you don't get to see every shot from every player that like, oh, are they good at lag putting? Like I just historically in my mind, and I could be totally wrong, is that I always see like Bubba as a great lag putter. Dustin Johnson, a great lag putter. I'm sure there are other ones too. Kuchar's a really good lag putter as well. But anyway, from those guys 30-1 and below,
Fleetwood's and interesting
okay, one sec. The ones that I have pegged right now, and I'll release my cheat sheet on Wednesday afternoon because I do want to see how injured or not injured Justin Rose is. But I don't have the most interest in all this area just based on odds because like, I don't want to bet Tiger at 25-1. It's Rose at 22, Rahm at 25, and I think my strongest feel right now is Fleetwood at 28.
I'd like to make a comment about Tommy because he's taken on a drift. I mean, when you look at what his odds were for the British,
he was always going to be overvalued for the
yes,
British.
with the record with the
just because he's British.
He's British, and then you throw in he had the course record. Like it was a very exciting thing. He's almost, I joke, becoming like England's Fowler in that it's you. Like, how can you hate the guy? Like, you might not think he can win, but like, you either like the guy or love the guy. Very likable, so he's very bettable. But since being touted so highly at the British, all he's done is have a very strong Canadian Open and a strong Bridgestone, and he's gone back this point. Well, other guys that have played strong in the last 2 weeks have gone. Their odds have gone the other way, and you're getting these bonus points with Tommy, and he's showing no signs to deserve getting this higher odd. Although you could argue it was inflated earlier. But this is a very attractive number. And what he does, to me, might be perfect for this course in terms of he's a big hitter, but he's not like a bomber.
He's straight,
and
too. He's like Rose. Yeah. He's a lot like Rose and Stenson.
And he's fantastic with those irons. Like
when he's on.
When he's on.
Because you see it sometimes, he's just off. And you're like, what, Tommy, man? Just like put it somewhere on the green and two-putt. And just, nope, can't do it. Not today.
But like as we've it's become the joke, there's going to be that freaking heater round. Let's just avoid the really bad ones.
Avoid the 74 this week.
Yeah.
And you should be in it, unless the score is like minus 25, which it won't be. Like if this is a minus 8 type event, I think like that low Tommy round can get in there. And that could be good enough to win it.
Are you going to bet Rahm?
I'm thinking about it, yeah.
I bet him at the last 2 opens, and I got burned. So if I don't bet him and he wins, that'll sting, but I don't know if I'm going to.
Let's talk about this next range. So, and there's considerable drift with a lot of these guys, so they're not quite in order. Reed is 40, which is a really nice number for Patrick Reed. Number 40, Hideki, 60. Stenson, 45, same as Noren. Sergio, 90. Cantlay, 40. Phil, 75. Xander, 55. Finau, 40. Casey, 55. Bubba, 60. Bryson, 75. Cooch, 66. Leishman, 55. Grace, 100. Webb and Louie, 70. Scott, 90. Neiman, 75. Peters, 80. Berger and Fitzpatrick, both 150. ZJ, 70. And then we're into like the hundreds. The only other ones below 100 right now are Poulter at 80. Hatton at 90. Kyle Stanley at 75, and that's it. Oh, and Thorbjorn Olesen at 70. So that's that mid-range. I like guys from here. Gup was talking up Bubba. I think I'm in on Bubba. 60-1. Let's do it. Played well here at the BMW in 2008. I like the shot shape for him. I think that he might play bomb and gouge here. And I talked about lag putting with him. I just think 60's too deep for a guy who's won 3 times this year. It just is. And this isn't like, it's hard to say whether it's a Bubba track or it's not a Bubba track. I think the skill set fits pretty well. And I think he can play well here. And we're getting a gigantic number for a guy that, if he wins this event, he's going to win Player of the Year.
Yeah, that's another thing. I think Justin's 3 wins are nicer, mate. What did Justin win? Honda,
WGC, and Tournament of Champions. Bubba's won Travelers, WGC, and Riviera. Those are 3 better wins.
Oh, yeah, 3 better wins.
And this would clinch it, basically, unless someone goes on a
And Dustin's got 3, but they're shit.
Canadian Open,
Memphis,
St. Jude.
and like they're
what
all
was the other one?
Canada.
All right, Canada, Memphis. What was the other one?
Didn't he want Tournament of Champions?
What
was Justin's first win this year?
I think he won on Swing, CJ Cup, maybe.
Oh yeah. He defended what he'd won. I think.
That was the CIMBC. He won the really tough one in Korea. 9 bridges
at the new course.
Yeah, which is a cool course, by the way. yeah,
okay.
I'm in on Bubba and I'm in on Bryson. Bryson really showed me something over the weekend at WGC. But my one issue with him, he's played so much.
It's been a long run. Going back to the John Deere.
Withdrew from the John Deere, played the British Open, went over and made a mockery of himself over in Germany, according to people. I thought it was hilarious. He comes over and has an awful opening 9.
You like when golf goes Hollywood Hogan.
I do. I love when anytime people start rooting against people because of their bad behavior, like, go fuck yourself. Like, just.
I thought it was. No, because this is
why
where
should he
we're
be
different.
happy? Why should he be happy for the guy
It's
after
not
he had a
about
meltdown?
happy. It's not about happy.
I don't care if he has class. Who cares?
I think you got to lose with class, and I loved his.
You don't have to lose. You need people out
No.
there acting like
Sorry,
this.
you don't.
Sorry, we got jumped on with Patrick Reed for 2 straight years. Bryson does one Patrick Reed type move, and Bryson. Oh, where's my fainting couch?
I don't think I think what Bryson did was so much worse than any.
When Patrick Reed yelled at a cameraman,
Yeah.
he told him to go fuck himself.
Yeah, and he played that substitute teacher thing. Like, you're all in trouble. Like, you all miss recess because of one guy. No, Bryson's got to shake that guy's hand he doesn't have to be
Bryson
happy
doesn't
about
have to
it.
do anything. All these rules people have to do.
No, we disagree. But
Well, I'm actually right. Because he doesn't have to do anything.
Agreed. Obviously, he doesn't have to do anything.
But you just said he has to. He has to shake that guy's hand. No, he doesn't.
In my opinion,
Well, your opinion's fine. He doesn't have to.
okay, that's fine. They don't have to do anything.
Exactly.
That's right. It's an unwritten rule. It's part of golf. When you want to win and do the like knee bend, you got to be able to just do that simple pat on the back.
No,
That's my opinion.
I want both
That's
extremes.
just my opinion.
I want characters. That's a character
He's still
move.
a character.
It's a bad character move, but I like bad characters.
Listen, and you defending it, I think takes what the action is out of the question. You just simply back anyone going like rogue.
Yeah.
Totally.
100%.
Totally.
That is
you love that?
That is
It is like your
100% my
peak,
brand.
They're your peak moments.
I love bad behavior, disrespect to the game.
Yeah.
It's completely on brand for me.
But I thought he was very contrite in that interview, and he just cares. He gives it his all. And if you saw, there was a video I think I retweeted or sent to a couple people touting Bryson last night, like just showing how he grinds. Like yesterday, no question he's winning a golf tournament. This week he didn't play well at all. He coming off the ugly incident. Or the beautiful incident, as you might call it. It's like he's just grinds every shot. He cares, and I'm in on Bryson. This number is ridiculous.
Well, here's the other good thing. It's almost like why I like Grayson Murray at the same time. Not this week.
His stats got worse than when I fawned
Sure.
over them at the British.
Sure, they want to. Yeah, he's been. But I mean, he only has one measured event since the British. That was last week, and he had a just disastrous front 9. But like. People dislike Grayson Murray, so his odds are always worse than they should be. People are now starting to dislike Bryson, so his odds are worse than it's like the Ian Poulter effect. People hate Ian Poulter,
And guess
so
what?
his odds are never
And
good.
guess what?
So we get a chance to go in and bet these odds.
And like you see the Golf Digest polls of like nicest players on tour, number 1, Tony Finau.
Yeah,
he's 40.
Tony
who I like.
Tony Finau has the same number as people don't like Patrick Reed, who just won the Masters.
Exactly. And there's a lot of love and hype for Finau and how well he's played. Now, I wouldn't diss the bet. I kind of could get talked into it. I actually don't mind the bet
I would
at
much
all.
rather bet Patrick Reed at 40, which I might do.
I listen, and I would argue Bubba at 60 versus Finau at 40 is kind of like, who's not 3-putting?
I mean, Bubba can. Listen, I just backed Bubba at the Canadian Open. He was a fucking disaster.
I agree. That was the rare Bubba whispering that.
I don't feel very strongly. Remember, like when I pegged Bubba to win Riviera earlier this year, I didn't end up even betting it, but I just kept saying that number's so stupid. Like Bubba shouldn't be 50-1 to win this tournament. Then I learned my lesson from that. That Bubba just shouldn't be this odd. It was like Justin Thomas last week. I didn't learn my lesson. I looked at the numbers like, that number's stupid. I should bet that. Then I didn't bet it, and then he won. Yeah. They're not always going to win, but I just don't understand how you can be giving off this number.
Yeah, no, good points. Again, back to Bryson. I love it. I love it. There's an 80, I think, on Bovada.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the 75 because I want to do the top 8 each way on bet. But if I was just betting it to win, And I looked into betting the 80 on Bovada and betting the top 5, and it just didn't jibe.
How can one claim, and I think it's stolen from Baroff, but how can one claim that it's the summer of Bryson and not pick him to win this tournament, the last major of the year? It's the summer of Bryson. He's going to play wicked. Anyone who thinks he won't be in Paris for the Ryder Cup's a fool. And that's how I feel.
Well, and it's a good thing, too. You can pair Bubba and Bryson together and just get those whack jobs out of the way as a team over in Paris.
I just think it's a great bet. And Bryson at that number, Bubba at that number, Pat, still allows me to play guys at the top.
It does. Well,
because it's just such
I'm waiting on the guys at the top.
Fair.
I want to get more information. I want to talk to more people. I want to, like I said, that Rose injury thing is really, like, I like Finau. Don't get me wrong. I'm not betting him at 40 to 1. I would barely bet him at 40 to 1 to win, like, Riviera. And at Riviera, we got him at 80 to 1. Like, I'm going to bet. I know he's been great at the majors. I think he can contend. Better DraftKings play than a bet, in my opinion.
I agree. But I'm in that range, though. A couple guys I have to bring up.
45.
He does what needs to be done.
He's going to hit the fairway. He can hit the long irons. The short game is coming around. He could not putt last week, but he looked healthy swinging the club. The ball striking was fine. He just couldn't putt. Whatever.
People were really high on him to win the Open at 25. If you made that bet, how do you stay away from this one?
Yeah, if like when I first started looking at this course in general, and I pegged like the Kuchar template as the preferred type of template of skill set to win here. I mean, Stenson's the A+ version of the Kuchar template, isn't he?
Yes, I would argue that. I'd say this. Well, no, I don't know. I don't want to make those comments.
Say the comment.
No, then it just drags me into no. It's just about Jordan Spieth, so just you could assume what it is. What about Alexander Noren or Patrick Cantlay?
I would prefer Stenson and Reed around that number. I talk about shot shape. When you go back and look at some of these Reece Jones designs, Bethpage is actually one that I think will correlate a little bit with this. They played the BMW Championship there 2 years ago, or the Northern Trust, sorry. It used to be the Barclays. Reed won.
Did Ricky win though?
No. Patrick Reed won. It was 2016. Ricky may have won last year. No, he won Dell.
Oh.
He won at Boston. Anyway, yeah, you got to shoot like -20 to win. Ricky's all over that. With Reed, just like scrambling, tough off the tee, play yourself a quick little draw. I think Reed's alive here. Like, I think that he's being kind of forgotten about. You might even see drift on his number from 40. Like, to Wednesday, it might go to 50.
And I mean, we talk about it often, and you've already brought it up. It's a personality thing. Just don't want to bet the guy.
Yeah, Stenson last week, by the way, gained almost 4 strokes off the tee and was +1 in terms of approach. So he's hitting it off the tee fine.
I can get talked into Reed. I mean, I did bet him to win the Open at this number.
You probably shouldn't cover your mouth when you need to talk.
Under the premise that he is a big game hunter.
And now we're getting like a legit number again.
Well, yeah, we got this number at the Open, and he had a huge number at Bridgestone. It wasn't a course that I wanted to play him at.
He played pretty
but
well.
He was like
Bridgestone.
at 50 to 1, man.
Yeah, he didn't win, so bad bet.
So Cantlay. This number's short. I think I've seen 50s, 55s on some sites.
This was the drift the other way.
Yes. When he
was one of the few guys that got better, like worse odds after the weekend.
Any thoughts? You know, is it Cantlay over 50 to 1 needs to be considered?
Well, he's not over 50 to 1 on the books that I'm playing on, and not in this field now. Why, do you really want to bet Cantlay over Stenson? Really? You want to bet Cantlay over Bubba? You want to bet you want to bet Cantlay at worse odds than Xander?
I don't see myself betting Cantlay
You're
or
using
Stenson.
all my ink, by the way. I only have so much ink in these pens. These are nice pens. You're just...
I'm here.
Cooch.
I lost my thought.
Casey at 55, I like. Probably end up playing that. Sergio at 90 is the big one.
No.
Good track record at Reece Jones redesign, especially at major championships.
Was this the one where the 19-year-old?
Yeah, this is where he lost to Tiger.
Medina? It was,
yeah, he lost to Tiger at Medina.
Okay.
He lost. There was another one too. I forget who he lost to, but he was second that week too.
So CBS, before their coverage yesterday, did what they called a PGA Championship preview.
Okay.
I PVR'd it.
Tiger, Dustin, Rory, Spieth.
They
Justin
didn't do
Thomas.
anything. Some 100, because it's the 100th PGA. Like, it was pretty much like, first time this was with a 100-year-old, like, local guy who still golfs. Mad props to you.
Don't need to see you on the broadcast.
And then they just sort of did this, like, bracket thing of ranking the greatest, like, PGAs, you know, which was cool. I got, like, great memories and seeing that. But there was no concept of a preview. I don't recall there being a course overview. I thought maybe you'd get, like, a 10-minute roundtable, with, you know, hosted by Nance with Faldo and Finchy and like, whoever their guys are. Even Bone, like, you know, because they've done it before, you know, pick a winner. Nothing. They call that a preview.
Well, people don't like giving out golf picks because they're mostly losers and they make you look
Yeah,
bad.
no. I don't need picks. I throw that on at the end. It's the last thing I mentioned. I don't need guys making a picks pre-recording something like 2.5 weeks ago. That being said, like, I want a preview, not like a history of the PGA Championship. So that really annoyed me. Also, yesterday, when CBS fawns over a 422-yard Rory drive, but doesn't even show it. They show Rory in the fairway. The announcers are fawning over the drive. No one saw the drive. He obviously missed the wedge, I'm sure. But, so yeah. And this is, we get the good guns, right? It's TNT, TBS. Weird, right?
No, it's CBS. It's TNT for the first few days, then CBS on the weekend. I thought TNT did a fine job. You know what I didn't like? I offered PGA Tour Media on Twitter $100 for a live stream of the Luke List see Woo Kim Berry. They didn't get back to me.
I also think the trophy is obnoxious.
It's obnoxiously big.
Like,
The Wanamaker trophy?
it's
so giant.
It's bigger than Rory.
I think it's bigger than the Stanley Cup.
You see Rory win. He's won it twice. Like, Rory's not a big guy. He's not like DJ or
Rory's
Brooks.
my
Like,
size.
Yeah.
Like, almost like to a T.
It's
Height, weight, everything. He's more like ripped than
Yeah.
I am, but like we're basically the same.
So I mean, the trophy's the size of the guy. It's like funny to watch him lift it in the old highlights, where he was even less ripped than he is today.
Well, he's too ripped. That's why he can't win anymore.
That's why he can't hit wedges.
Yeah, I hear this all the time. Be in good shape. You know, that's bad. You want to look like John Daly.
No, but I don't think like Dustin's washboards.
No, but he also, like, in order, like, Rory's the best driver on tour. He hits it further than
Pound for pound, there's
not even pound for pound. He's the best driver.
Okay, but then you factor in pound for pound, and he's
Sure.
like
Do you know
significantly.
how he's able to do that?
Those freaking hips, I don't
Hips,
know,
yeah,
man.
the
they
power
turn
that-
you watching.
The power he generates, and how does he generate that? From being fucking ripped. Like, that's what he works on. He activates the glutes and gets through the ball and the torque. Like, Dustin doesn't need to. Dustin's what, 6'4"? Guy it's like Adam Scott. They just generate torque on the ball. They can pound it. Like, if you're a coordinated tall guy, you should be good at golf. It's just like how, you know, like, we had the coordinated tall guy on our, like, high school basketball team who was, like, 6'10". Awful. No coordination.
Yeah.
But, like, if you're a coordinated, like, 6'5" guy in high school, you're on the basketball team. And you're probably pretty good. You should be on the golf team, too, if that's a motion that you can have. So anyway, for me in this range, I like Casey, I like Reed, I like Bubba, I like Stenson, I like Bryson.
Bryson, no doubt. Casey and Bubba, very strong on my temptations.
I wish Casey was better this week.
Last week.
Yeah. I mean, maybe I haven't committed on Casey yet at 55. Should I go Casey or Kuchar? I picked Kuchar before the season. I'd like to see Kuch win. I really would. Wouldn't you?
I would cry, even without a bet. Ned Flanders gets his major.
He'd be so pumped. Do you have any, like, ads do you think he would? Because he's all over commercials. Do you think Kuch would be like, I'd like to thank Skechers?
It's pretty funny. He's got Grey Goose, Skechers. Yeah, you do see him out there quite a bit.
He also needs to play his way onto this Ryder Cup team.
Yes.
He'll probably be a captain's pick anyway, because the people will, like, it was almost like Phil last time when Phil wasn't in contention to be on it, and the crowd was like, they asked the players. They were like, well, who do you want as a captain's pick? And everyone said Phil. I think everyone would say Kuchar this time, because it's going to be Phil, Tiger, Kuchar, and someone else. I don't think they'll leave him off, even though he's playing poorly. He's been on that team, what, like 10 straight times?
It might be the end. of being on the team.
This time around?
Yeah, it might be. I don't know. That's not a bold statement because you just sort of listed
Yeah,
that he's not in the greatest spot. And then you factor in like if Finau has a great finish and Webb Simpson plays great through the FedEx Cup.
We didn't even talk about Webb. Webb is tricky here too.
I see a smile like you got like an evil like
Well,
mischievous
well,
Webb Simpson thought.
It all just came back for Webb, and it all culminated at the at the Players, and he just ran away with the field, right? But if we're talking about a course where like long irons, hitting fairways, he hasn't been
won a U.S. Open.
He hasn't been great off the tee recently, but the approaches were really good last week, and a lot of like what's factored into his stats. So like you run the models, they're not great, but that didn't include the U.S. Open or the Open Championship, both of which he played very well at.
What about Louis? I'm just gonna hard pass that.
Hard pass for me. Ulrich will be all over him, so Ulrich can win enough for all of us. Do you want to bet Louis? He's one of the few guys that saw his odds get better.
No, I don't want to bet Louis. Kuchar is really interesting. And I love all the Ryder Cup undertones. Ryder Cup undertones are with us through the FedEx Cup. It's a weekly conversation now.
Adam Scott?
No.
Brennan Grace?
Who's his caddy?
I don't know. Why?
I'm just curious. And Scott is anchoring, man.
Good. Just like David Hurd.
Grace it's a big number, but he hasn't been playing well, right? Isn't he like a lost soul right now?
He's been kind of bad for like 18 months now.
I don't like hearing that.
And like it's weird because his putting has been saving him recently, and he's not a good putter.
This isn't a bold statement.
Okay.
At all. But there's, in my opinion, there is 0.001, because I'm going to leave a 250 to 1 guy off, that the winner didn't play last week. That's from, I don't see the major going that far down the board.
It's happened.
I understand it's happened. I don't think it's happened recently, though.
No.
At all. Like, who's won the recent PGAs? Justin, Walker, Day.
Well, when Walker won, did he play? Yeah, he did play the week before at Bridgestone. A lot of the guys that win the PGA Championship, I was reading some CBS article about it. I think like 33% of the past, I think it's like a third of the past 30 PGA champions came like either between 11th and 20th at Bridgestone.
I believe it. And that's like a perfect landing spot.
Yeah, well, in that range, you got Poulter, Siwoo, Leishman, Kuchar, Fleetwood, Rahm, Rafa Cabrera-Bello, who played sneaky good last week. Like, really good. Couldn't putt. Woodland, Ross Fisher, Zach Johnson, Ricky Fowler would be your, like... I mean, it's a very arbitrary number. And it seems very coincidental, but just people like looking at stuff like that. Yeah. Me included. I wouldn't put much stock into it, but it's something interesting at least.
And we haven't had a major this year from the like, under 20 to 1 cash.
No. Leishman.
One of the few guys whose odds I want to say have dropped.
They stayed about the same. He's 55 to 1.
Such a solid player, but I don't know if he's going to get my money. I would probably rather... Am I a moron for saying I'd rather bet Casey? I know I'd rather bet Bubba, I think.
I mean, but yes. However, I'm betting Bubba, and I'm torn on Casey. I'm not betting Leishman. I like Leishman, but... The one good thing about starting in this range is I get one shot at the top of someone in the 20s, and I can take a few of these people.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's move on, unless there's someone else you want to talk about.
I just want to bring up the fact that a lot of 19-year-old Sergio comps being made to Nyman, I can't bet. Like, your first win is going to be a major.
Yeah, I mean, he rates out really well by the Fantasy National Simulator because of the limited sample. He has the second best chance of winning.
Well, he's never finished outside of...
He misses cuts.
Rarely. In the last...
He comes top 10 or misses cuts. That's what he's up to. But anyway, if you look at the simulator right now in terms of Neiman...
fucking look at those stats.
Yeah, the stats aren't
They're
bad.
not even fair, but they're skewed.
But they're not skewed. It's just a smaller sample. Like, I think he's up to like 60-something rounds now. So the sample is getting bigger, and he continues to play well. I think he's a great player. And you could almost make the case that if you're betting Rahm to win, like if you had been given Rahm these odds at the PGA Championship in his rookie year, you might have considered betting him. And Neiman's been playing better than Rahm did in his rookie year. I'm not betting it. I'm just laying out the case for it. But anyway, this will update on Fantasy National, I believe, Tuesday morning. But pre-WGC, the highest win equity per the simulation was Dustin Johnson.
Oh, my God.
Neiman, Rory, Rose, Day, Spieth, Rahm, Fowler, Casey, Stenson, Brooks.
What he does, I mean, yeah, I get why the model pops the kid.
Now, anyone looking at this, you have to take it with a grain of salt. Obviously, it's just based on like hole length. It weights earlier rounds more than later rounds as a part of like how you punch in the stuff to the simulator. But it hit Austin Cook for me. The only person in the world who loved Austin Cook was the Fantasy National Simulator. And I loved him for like 3 straight weeks, bet him 3 straight weeks, and boom, pops it off at 85 to 1. Out of nowhere. So there's something to it.
He's never played in a major before. I mean, I'm just trying to find ways.
He played the Masters, didn't he, as an amateur?
Oh, sorry.
This is his first major as a pro.
I'm just trying to like find things to say.
Okay,
like
but here's the example that I think that if you're thinking about betting Neiman, let me throw out this case for you. Bryson DeChambeau is the exact same odds. Exactly the same. They're both 75 to 1.
Do you know, like Justin last year, Bryson got better each day at the Bridgestone,
yes.
even though it was not the greatest week. But when,
I was all over it yesterday. I was just looking at it. I was like, and like even watching him, like they were showing like clips of him. Plus whatever, and he rallied back to like get to even for the tournament too, and he was atrocious through like he was awful through 9, but like even the first 27 holes he was awful. But like you mentioned, he was grinding on like 13 out of contention early Sunday morning.
Grinding.
Taking his time, lining up his shots. Like the process didn't change for him.
Ever.
But I think that, I don't want to say that he's like Bubba and he gets thrown out of whack, but I think the more consistency that Bryson can have week after week after week, like I think that going overseas and playing the Open Championship, I think it was smart for him to stay in Europe and play again, but I think he's one of those guys that needs to stop playing the John Deere Classic and just go over. Like if he wants to compete at the Open Championship, like I think that getting into a rhythm for him and having surrounding elements be the same for him is a lot better. That's why you play Bridgestone and then you come here. There's similar style courses in terms of length. There's same type of greens. Like you get yourself ready, throw yourself into that familiar position, and then grind out the way that you would grind out here. I think that it was good to see him stick around the weekend and really try things out. I do like Bryson a lot. And when he wins, I won't shake your hand.
You just do.
You know who would have been better? Gunnar Stahl. He wasn't trying to shake people's hands.
Lost it for me.
Lost it for yourself.
You lost it for yourself.
Longshots. Let's get to them because we're deep into this show now. The guys that I have bet already. I have bet Monsieur Luc List at 150 to 1 with the top 8 each way. I have bet Kevin Na 150 to 1 with a top 8 each way. I bet Danny Willett 175 to 1 with a top 8 each way. I bet Nick Watney 200 to 1 with the top 8 each way. And the other one was, Woo Kim 160 to 1 with a top 8 each way. I do like him for the Wyndham next week too.
I have bet 2 people you have named. I mentioned to you off air that by process of osmosis, I believe would be the proper term, you have like soul. I love Luke List. I don't know.
It's finally come around.
I don't know about like this. I'm betting him this week. I don't want to say like I love him to win this week, but I love Luke List. Like I think he's the best player on the planet, not named Neiman, because kind of unfair is like the new sexy thing. Like without a win to his name. Like even Finau has a subfield something he won a couple years ago.
But realistically, what's really the difference between List and Finau? Like
we do this.
Finau is better. I'm not going to argue that
he's
Luke
more
List is
consistent. He's better chance of maybe finishing top 8, but I think they have almost the same chance of actually winning, if that makes any sense.
The same things need to go right for them in terms of the one problem with Luke List right now is the approaches haven't been great. And that's somewhat worrisome. But a short game has been so good. Yeah. Now, someone brought this up to me. He's like, you just waste money betting Si Woo and you bet Luke List every single week. I actually went back on the weekend and ran the numbers. I was talking this with like Gup and Punter last week because their odds are always so ridiculous, and maybe this only makes sense if you have the each way option, which I do. Siwoo has has two
wins.
Has 2 top 5 so far this year. So he's hit the each way twice. Luke List has hit it 3 times. I'm up money on both those guys this year.
I don't listen. People can
you get them at 150 to 1. Like you don't expect them to win, but I do think that they have chances to win. That's why you bet them.
I also have said for ages that the Luke List at 125, 150 in the full field, strongest field there is to me, crushes Luke List at like 24 in those very weak fields where everyone's like, he's got to win sort of situations. That being said, I can't get out of my mind the first hole on Saturday at the Open where he's like he's like right in the mix. He sticks it to like 5 feet and he 3-putts. And you're right. You probably watch it like, it's good. Like, let's go.
It's happening.
Like, we're going to get 1-on-1. And then I think we go to a par 5. Like, we're going to go. And then to see it just statistically, like, you almost think CBS was wrong when they said that was his second from the fairway. Like, he must have had to hit out to that. Like, how did he bogey that hole? So that's very possible. But peak Finau, what do we know about that? It's much the same. Might roll in the 40 for eagle and then miss like the 4-footer, which are backbreakers. Other guys, I saw you from your show with Gup and Punter, all the Kevin Na love. He's a grinder.
Hits fairways, good with irons, great short game, good putter. Does he have the mental capability to put this together? Probably not, but he's 150 to 1.
That goes to like that ultimate question because sometimes numbers are nice. Can he win? I always ask myself that. That being said, I bet losers.
He did just win.
And I bet losers. So, and I like you know, people say you waste all your money on betting Luke List every week, even though you've proven factually you make money on Luke List. I have probably bet the San Diego Chargers every single game for the last 18 years, 17 years. I can go to the wall with losers and wake up the next morning. I'm prone, like, it's part of my lifestyle. I got Willett at 250. It's not the each way thing.
Oh, that's actually
but Bodog's popped to 250.
I might go through like an extra $5 on that.
Every time, I know we overrated
Paul, throw up the stats.
I know we overrated the form. But I don't care.
Look at the stats.
I'm not looking.
Look.
I'm not looking.
I think Paul mentioned this is the first player he's ever done where every single one of their stats is in triple digits.
I'm not looking. I forbid to look. Look at me looking, not looking.
Now, in fairness to him, his
not
Open
looking.
Championship
Let
stats
me know when it's gone.
It's off now.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Those are some huge numbers. We've never made Paul go that deep before. Okay.
But I see Willett as a buy low opportunity here. Because when he was good, I mean, throw out winning the Masters. The reason that we liked him to win the Masters in the first place is because he was he's a lot like what Tommy Fleetwood is right now.
Right? And those same tingles watching early Saturday, Sundays in Europe over the last year, I got watching
Fleetwood.
Will, like, making every 12, 14-footer you can think of.
And then he comes over, he competes at like Honda, competes at WGCs, and then boom, he spikes. Then he wins a major, hurts his shoulder, and you don't hear from the guy again. But it doesn't mean he's not a skilled player. Like, remember when Stenson went away, and then all of a sudden Stenson was back?
Yeah, he won FedEx, yeah.
Yeah, he got injured. He lost all his money in a Ponzi scheme, and then he had to come back and play golf again. And now Willett's starting to play golf again. Now, I'm not saying that he's going to hit the heights that he did before.
Or the heights that Stenson has been able to
True,
come
but
back
like,
to.
you're getting a guy right now at 175 to 1 that if he was at his peak, or even let's say he was at 80% of his peak, he'd be the same number as Mark Leishman. He'd be 55 to 1.
You don't have to sell me.
But I'm trying.
I know,
I'm
you're
trying
talking.
to
You're talking it
I'm
through.
talking to everybody.
Yeah, no.
And this is my reasoning behind it.
I'm just like a little girl in love, like just.
And he has
twinkling in
been
his
playing a
eyes.
lot better.
Yeah, those stats don't reflect his last
Well, when was the last time he actually played on the PGA? Like the last time he had a weighted round on the PGA Tour?
I couldn't even think of it.
I don't know when it is. Because the Masters he plays in, that's not weighted. The U.S. Open's not weighted. The Open Championship's not weighted, and he does most of his work on
Does
the
he
Euro
play
Tour.
the Players even? Did he play the Players? He might.
He may have played the Players. I don't even remember, to tell you the truth. I can look up, but he's been doing the majority of his work on the European Tour, which isn't counted towards these numbers. So, of course they're going to be bad. Because they're getting him miscut.
I don't see an odd, and you might roll your eyes at me.
Can I pre-roll my eyes at you?
Surrey?
Go nuts, man.
No,
He did play the Players. He missed the cut. But before that, he played API. He withdrew. He played the PGA. He played the Players. Missed the cut. So those would be his 2 weighted rounds. Before that, it was Bridgestone last year, where he came dead last. Guy's hurt. Why Surrey? What's with you and Surrey? Were you like a big Katie Holmes, Tom Cruise head? And you're like, damn, Surrey, need to get in here?
I just see like high ceiling talent coming at some point.
I
haven't
bet
bet it.
Bet for Telly too? Is he even in this field?
But I talk about Surrey because he just pops off the sheet for me. I haven't bet. It's not like I bet him. I think I did when he first came over and he was sort of. Anyways, we will going forward. But Aaron Wise do anything for you?
I like Hostler better.
You don't have to talk me into that one.
I haven't decided on that one yet, but I like him. I like Ryan Moore. These are all just kind of long shots. I get into the trap of betting too many of these long shots. I might just section off like the guys that I've bet. I might section off the other guys as top 10 wagers, top 20 wagers. Maybe look for a head-to-head with them. I'll decide on just 1 second. Grillo is down to 160.
Yeah,
we do this every fucking major.
I just worry like it's over. Not over, but like I feel like his window kind of he missed the window.
Maybe per the simulator. Here are the guys long shots that.
But Grillo and those long irons, eh?
Yeah, and accuracy too. The big thing is, per the simulator, guys that they have found to be undervalued, like what their actual win equity in terms of odds should be versus the odds that they are right now. So here are a few of them. Grillo is one of them. By the simulator, he should be 62 to 1. He's 160 to 1. Billy Horschel, who sneaky been really good recently. You don't think he's won FedEx Cup events? He's won the FedEx Cup. Can't win a major? He could be like the Sean McKeel type winner.
The octopus pants are coming back.
That's good news.
I don't know if he's going to be wearing them, but they're being released. And then in the women, a girl in the final group who lost to the British girl was wearing a bowling skirt yesterday. It was the weirdest thing I've seen since the octopus pants.
The other ones that are undervalued, Jimmy Walker and Kevin Na, are both supremely undervalued by the market. Keegan Bradley is even, actually, of where he should be. Where was the other one?
I had my hand raised because Keegan was the question.
What about Keegan?
I've never bet him.
I'm not going to bet.
But doesn't he, he's playing really well, right?
He is. He is playing exceptionally well.
Really well. I got no interest, but I'm seeing some really quality golf. He just missed getting into the WGC too, didn't he?
I think so. He'd won that tournament before too. He'd won Bridgestone. So the 4 guys that are supremely undervalued by the simulator, like I said, Grillo, Horschel, Walker, and Na. Which makes sense.
I could be sold on Kevin Na, but it's that makeup.
Maybe he got over the hump.
Like in the same way, I don't know, man. You're going to have Casey and Na on the same card, but just throw Molinari on there.
I know they're not... Stanley, do you have any interest? Now down to 75.
No.
Yeah, I don't like the number.
I like the guy. I think he can place, but I'm not.
Based on skill set alone of what I'm kind of looking for here, I know these guys have not been playing well recently, but Andrew Landry's 350 to 1. Not to win, but top 20. You're going to get 18 to 1 top 20 odds on him. Landry's a good player. Has a win this year.
Cashed it.
Putnam. Coming off
Andrew Putnam.
Spawn is another one coming off a good week at Barracuda. He does he is if I'm going to say Luke List is a play at 150 to 1, Spawn at wherever the fuck he's at, 250 to 1. I mean, he's not as good as Luke List. If you have Dustin, Rahm, Luke List, Johnny Vegas, JJ Spawn.
the versions of the grades.
The types of players that you are and go down the list. Of
it's steak. Wagyu beef is Dustin and Taco Bell sort of.
JJ Spawn.
Is JJ Spawn.
Yeah, he has more accuracy, doesn't hit it quite as long off the tee, but he's a really good ball striker.
But sometimes you're just craving one of those dollar soft tacos.
Yeah, I might look into those guys. What was your question, by the way?
It was two guys. It was Keegan and who I don't think I would bet, but I'm surprised Hadley didn't pop on the undervalued list
He's been bad. That's why.
Okay.
And as Punter pointed out on the show, he's not going to back Chess and Headley because this isn't a web.com event. It's a very good point. I should have really taken that advice to heart for most of the tournaments this year.
Oh, crap. There's someone who's kind of lost form but is showing in majors, and that's Chappell.
Chappell had a really weird, like, if you looked at Chappell, like, on the surface, and this is why paying attention to stats isn't always the most, I don't know, it's not the most predictive thing in the world, but you can see where, like, outliers rest. And Kevin Chappell, Ben On is the other one, like I mentioned. Ben On lost almost 10 strokes putting. Chappell lost almost 8. Like, he actually played well, somewhat well, tee to green. He just could not putt, which is something that happens to Kevin Chappell. Let's be real here. The guy can't putt. But almost like when we do those rankings again, where, you know, if we grade them by types of beef, Jason Day is at the very top. Chappell is on that list. It's like Rose and Stenson are like very similar players.
Yeah.
That Day and Chappell are kind of in the same mold as well and could play really well here. I'm not buying it, though. If it comes down to me, I'd much rather back On, who's probably going to drift down to like 125, 150 by the time it's all done. Okay, ready to do this? Quick picks.
Jeez.
For me, I have not decided at the top yet. Like I said, I'm considering Fleetwood, Rahm, and Rose as one of those guys I'll probably add to the card, and I'll do that. You can find the link in the video, on the podcast for Wednesday, on my Facebook page, facebook.com/thepme, in my articles. There will be a hyperlink in there to the picks cheat sheet. I'll have it all finalized by Wednesday night because I want to wait on this. But guys, I'm in on already. Bubba Watson, 60-1. Bryson DeChambeau, 75-1, both with the each ways. Luke Liss, Siwoo Kim, obviously. Danny Willett, Nick Watney, and Kevin Na as like in the bomb range. And I'm trying to figure out between Stenson, Casey, and Reed. I think I'll be in on Reed at 40-1 though. You. Who are you in on already? Just start there.
In on already.
You got Dustin at 12.
Yes, Bryson DeChambeau, Luke List.
And who are you leaning then?
I am certainly in that under 30-1, over 20 or higher. Brooks and Fleetwood, I'm making a decision between. And I am certainly like that Bubba at 60. You're not going to go 2 Bubba calls in a row without him contending.
Without him winning?
I'm not going to say win, but I'm going to say, like, give us a heater.
Well, here's the thing. He just needs to be inside the top 8 this week. Because his number is so big, I can each way it.
And the thing with Bubba is he is such a class player that if he finds his way into contention, the live odds would reflect as if he was like a 22-1 pre-tournament guy.
Yes.
If I'm making any sense.
If he's in it, he gets treated like he's a real contender.
Yes.
Because he is.
So that's also really exciting. And kind of to me the same with Bryson. Like if he gets in it, he'll get taken incredibly seriously. And I like banged the table so hard for him at the Open, and that was a bad calculation.
Last
but
one.
I'm still there.
Zach Johnson. We just talked about Al Cooch was the other one I was considering too. And the two, because they're similar type like game of player. Rafa Cabrera Bello at 125 and Zach Johnson at 110.
I'm more Rafa. I don't bet
like
Zach.
the form.
I just don't bet
I like
Zach.
the form I saw from Rafa last week, and he's all fairways.
You're going to bet Rafa?
I might.
I'm not going to watch you bet Rafa from the sidelines. Because I've got a love affair with the guy, but I've been off it like it's been
a while.
Yeah, I don't even think we could be going 2 full majors since I last.
You went on methadone, you were fine. Now you're going to be back on the sauce.
Okay, so let me just start that over again because I organized myself. I am in on DJ at 12. I silly enough can mentally tell myself that's a free roll. Just of how I played it with his winning candidate. I can't do picks
just
quickly.
List the guys.
Bryson, that's in. List is in. Willett is in. And If I want to add from the top, it could be Brooks or Fleetwood.
And you have that Ricky exotic. 66 to 1.
I think it's like 62. I can't do the math.
All right. One and done picks. Tim is using Justin Thomas because Tim has every elite player available to him in the one and done. This is why he's in like last place, because he decided to use like absolute scrubs for every event. Shag, who are you taking? You know yet?
Ricky, probably.
Leaning Ricky right now. Where are you at in the one and done?
I didn't look. I had a bad week, though.
Who'd you have?
He had Stenson, so he's probably top 15 still. I haven't used Rose yet, so I'll use Rose. Because I know no one's going to use him because of the injury and everyone else has used him anyway. If it wasn't for that, not that I'm so far out of it, because you can still make a run at each of the segments. But if I wanted to actually contend for first, I'd need to hit like 4 winners in a row on my one and done, and I'd have to take like Nick Watney. But for this purpose, I will take Justin Rose. Who you got?
I am going to take... I feel like I've used Brooks.
You have used Brooks.
Yeah. Shucks. In the big one, I'm going to be using Fleetwood. Because I noticed I haven't used him.
All right, I'll give you Fleetwood.
That was a
Deal.
good catch.
That's
That
like
golfer
with Rose
check, because they're guys I assumed I used, because maybe I thought about using them, then I didn't end up using them. It was amazing to see, I still have these guys left.
Cool. Geoff Fienberg. Follow him on Twitter at gfienberg17. Any final thoughts? Be excited. No cut sweat show because I'm in New York. But
yeah, you got the World Championship of Baseball.
Fantasy Baseball World Championships. Yeah, I had to give out a giant novelty check to someone.
That's always fun.
Yeah, I should be.
Take
I've
the
never
picture.
given out a giant check that's worth like $400K.
And because you got a ton of stuff, I'll plug it for you. Your football show with Warren Sharp, who I think is simply one of the smartest talking football heads in the game.
Agreed.
Period. I get mesmerized just listening to him speak.
Well, if it wasn't for you, I don't think he would have been on my show. So
And he
I
loves
appreciate
the
that.
Chargers. Well, he thinks if the Chargers do certain things, they can be amazing. Like pass on first down.
Or be a better run organization.
Or get median field goals.
Yes. But no, Sharp, because you used to book him on with
Yeah.
Morency, I got in contact with him and he was able to come on. He was a great guest. That show's already out. You can go check that out. Tomorrow, I got Rick Gaiman and Jeff Ulrich on to break down the DraftKings, like the update DraftKings, weather, tee times, ownership. I think that'll be a lot of fun. And myself and Reed Fowler, 1:30 p.m. Eastern time on the DraftKings YouTube channel for the live chat. Live major chats are always fun.
Are you feeling golf fatigue? Like, are you like
I was,
but the major gets
And
you?
even I felt the last time that we did a show, I think it was for the Canadian Open, I had to go away for a week. Like, I was just done. Now I feel great now. I feel like I'm jovial again, like I was angry. Like, it piles up on you.
Yeah, I'll admit it's kind of like blurring because I think the stretch of the British and then just being here in Toronto, the Canadian Open, like, ramps up, and then a WGC, and then this. I'm looking forward. What's next week? Like the Wyndham or something?
Wyndham, yeah. The Brant Snedeker Siwoo Kim Open.
Yeah, no, I'm excited. But I think it's the time of year, Pat, where just the big boys win. We saw that trend in the FedEx Cup over the years, late in the year, like only those really elite guys are winning.
Unless you're Billy Horschel.
Yes, but he was kind of before that like crazy trend. Don't we have a crazy trend of FedEx Cup wins being
Yeah.
just like
The elite of the elite.
the elite?
I can't remember who like the
elite.
last loser was who won
An event?
a FedEx Cup event.
Hunter Mahan?
I guess Xander?
Oh, yeah. I mean,
Xander
loser comparatively. Yeah.
Compared to like Rory.
He was actually the one that ended the streak of like...
top like 15
Yeah,
players
or, like,
in the world
yeah.
winning. Yeah. Anyway, that'll do it on the show. Thank you everyone for watching. Like I said, you can get into the draw for some DK bucks 3 different ways from this show. Retweet or share the show on Twitter and Facebook, then at me, your DK handle, and use the hashtag DK Champ 1 to differentiate yourselves from last week. Congratulations to the other winners in the comment section for YouTube. Give the episode a like, leave your DK handle, and your pick of the top guys. Which one do you think is going to miss the cut? Plus, iTunes review, 5 stars, say something nice. Boom, you're in the draw for that as well. I'll announce the winners on Wednesday's show. Thank you all for watching. go to dkplaybook.com, check out my write-up, and facebook.com/thepme for my betting cheat sheet Wednesday afternoon. Tomorrow, Jeff Ulrich, Rick Gaiman, DraftKings breakdown update. We got it all for you, so stay tuned. I'm Pat Mayo. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.
That Mayo experience! Experience!